Learn without limits at Phalen Virtual Leadership Academy, a tuition-free online school serving Indiana families kindergarten to 12th grade. PLA Virtual is backed by an accredited university and offers online lessons with live, dedicated, certified teachers. PLA Virtual empowers scholars to achieve academic success with quality, rigorous, and engaging classes. Finally, an online school that also focuses on social and emotional support for families. PLA Virtual scholars participate in field trips, college readiness, clubs, and even sports at local PLA campuses. With our interactive online classes, PLA Virtual families can start the school year masks off. Learn your way every day. Empower, accelerate, achieve. School starts August 2nd. Reserve your space at plavirtual.org.
Hey, it's Ashmack from HOT963. Thank you for joining me today. I know so many of you have had questions, comments, concerns about what does back to school look like during a global pandemic? Do I actually feel comfortable with having my children back in the physical school? What are my options? Well, I've heard all of your questions. I've gotten all of your calls. I've seen so many of your DMs. Well, here today, I'm glad you're joining me because I have two special guests that can provide so much insight and more answers than what I can give you. So please welcome Dr. Tori Townsend and, of course, Earl Martin Phalen, PLA founder and CEO of Phalen Leadership Academies. Thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here. Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you know, we've had this conversation a week or so ago. We've had the interview on air, and people just want to know, okay, I think I need a little bit more. I need more details. What does this look like? And can you just explain to us what PLA is and what you do with the schools and, you know, what we're looking at now in 2020?
Yeah, so PLA is a nonprofit network of schools in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Texas. So we have 22 schools on our network, and we serve 10,000 scholars, grades K to 12. So that's kind of who we are as an organization. We've been very blessed to have 12 schools throughout Indiana, serving about 5,000 scholars, and then to have 6 schools in Indianapolis that serve 2,000 scholars. And we've been so fortunate, our scholars have worked so hard prior to this pandemic that we've been able to help take 6 F-rated schools and turn them into the A-rated schools that children deserve and desire. So high quality culture, strong parental engagement, academics plus the arts. And so it's been just a blessing to serve our scholars. And obviously this pandemic threw everybody off kilt a little bit, but we've been coming up with some really, really tight reopening plans to make sure that however we come back, we stay safe. And one of those was to add a new school to our network, which is called PLA Virtual, which is a tuition-free virtual school, 100% virtual, to anybody throughout the state. So if you're in a PLA school, stay there. We'll be able to serve you with remote learning. But if you're interested in the PLA model and you're not comfortable with your child going back to their school district, then come join us at PLA Virtual.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And of course, Dr. Tori Townsend, thank you for joining us again today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And, you know, what is
that Phalen Leadership Academy was putting together a virtual academy that is focused on those strong core values that have made our PLA schools so amazing for our scholars and the communities in which we serve. And so this will now be a branch off to allow families across the entire state of Indiana to participate in our PLA model virtually, where scholars will be attending as they would a traditional brick and mortar school, except they will be at home with mask off.
Right. And this is the time to keep the mask on. This is still the time to keep the mask on because we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what a few hours from now actually brings. So, you know, what was the turning point for both of you where you said, you know what, I think we need to switch gears a little bit. Let's make this more accommodating to the times that we're living in and more like the unknown times that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, when we went out in March, we immediately kind of did what most schools did, which is make sure that school, which is such an important place of nutrition, stayed open for our scholars. And so we'd have grab and go weekly meals for our scholars throughout the state. And in that, we started then going to the next phase, which was, okay, let's have some academics for our scholars and let's stay in touch with our parents. And so our teachers were calling home and we'd talk to our parents 2 to 3 times a week. Sometimes they said, hey, stop bothering us so much. We need some quiet time. But in reaching out to them, we had a structured set of conversations. And about a third of our parents, we said, hey, we have these reopening procedures for our brick and mortar buildings. We're going to have tent checks. We're going to wear masks. We're going to have one-way hallways. We're going to close down our music rooms. We're going to make sure that there's social distancing within the building, 6 feet apart. We're going to do all those things. Lunch is going to be in the classroom. We're going to have double our cleaning of our schools. If we do all those things, would you feel comfortable coming back in? Was the survey question that we asked our families. And about a third of our families said no. Even with all those great measures, which they appreciated, they wouldn't feel comfortable sending their child in. And so they felt like, well, gosh, now I have to make a decision. Do I leave PLA, which has been such a great home to me, or is there a way that you could do something that allows me to keep my child remote and stay with PLA? And so that's what originally drove our decision to say, okay, let's create PLA virtual. Now that was a couple months ago, and now it looks like a lot of schools are going to be virtual. But at that point, we said, let's respond to the needs of our families, and let's build a great virtual school. And we were very fortunate to find Dr. Townsend to lead us forward. And I also think we got a chance to learn a lot from our virtual experience, in addition to the great experience she's bringing through our summer program, Summer Advantage this year, where we really, said, hey, you've got to have the parent play some type of role, or the adult caregiver, especially with younger children, to do remote learning well. You need to have strong connectivity so you can keep the camera on, because the device really is just a way to reach children and reach families, but there's still human connectivity. So you want to see the people that you're talking to and you're interacting. You want them to see their classmates as well. And so we learned some of those things, and then we learned, hey, for this to be really good, you've got to deliver the instruction directly. That's what I love about PLA Virtual, that all of our classes are delivered live and virtually, so that you get a chance to interact with your teacher. You have a question, you're stumped with something, you can raise your hand and ask. We can do small groups where you can work with your peers or work with a tutor to help you catch up in any skills that you need support in. So we're really excited about getting the feedback from our parents that they wanted a virtual school, and then really, really learning a lot this summer about how to make the school great, and then obviously finding Dr. Townsend who's going to make it greater.
Yes, definitely. Now, before we get to Dr. Townsend, PLA has had so much success just in the state of Indiana, across the country. And what I love about you all is just the fact of you continuously take the leadership role and leading the way and setting the example of what education truly looks like. And right now, that's adapting to the times. So one thing that Dr. Townsend, I would love for you to talk about is the fact of how are we learning to adapt, and in this time with social and emotional support in the classroom.
Absolutely. So one of the key components that I think also makes us very unique is our social emotional learning component, understanding that our scholars have been at home. The pandemic hit in March, and all of a sudden it was this major shift. And so our scholars are used to being around their peers, to having those face-to-face interactions, to having hands-on learning opportunities. And so it's going to be critical for us and very important as part of our planning that we have made sure to include those components, having pieces of advisory, ensuring that classes are live, that they're interactive, that cameras are on, that we are incorporating a large amount of digital tools that will keep our scholars engaged throughout those lessons. That it's not just we're checking in, this is what you're supposed to be working on, we'll check back in later. This is actual live interactions where we're making sure that our scholars have what they need, that our families have what they need, and that they're finding success, not just with academics, but success in coping and managing with the new shift that they are adjusting to, and making sure that they are a priority for our scholars.
Yes, definitely. So with all of this being said, I think, we're still learning as individuals, as human beings, how to adapt to emotional and social support, because we're not socially back to our normal schedules, but interacting with one another.
Right.
So, that by itself is tough. And then, of course, if you have children and trying to cope with whatever is happening right now during a global pandemic, then, we all need to figure it out at the same time. So one thing I do want to ask, what is tuition? Is there a tuition rate, and what does the enrolling process look like?
Sure. So I'll answer the tuition rate, and which is free. So it's a free public school. Doesn't cost you anything to attend. We do prefer if families have a device or connectivity, but if they don't have it, we have a scholarship fund that they can apply for, a device, an iPad, or a Chromebook, and the connectivity piece as well. And we could provide some support to a limited number of families of that. We've been very fortunate to get some donors to come in and offer that opportunity so that any family in the state of Indiana can attend this completely tuition free.
Perfect. Okay. You know what? I think it's best that we hear from the students, we hear from the teachers, we hear personal testimonies, because we could talk about this all day.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think it's more important that we hear from the people that have lived this experience, that do it on a daily basis and are ready to come back and ready to adapt with all of us and take on the challenge. But more importantly, planting the seed and teaching others for the leaders of tomorrow. So you know what? We're going to have a short intermission of testimonials, but I want to encourage everyone and parents, if you have any questions, please make sure to drop them in our comments below.
Nearly 5 million children across the country attend failing schools. We work to change that.
For me, there's nothing more important than giving children a fair chance to be all that they can be. And when you make that investment in scholars and you create great preschool, great schools, great opportunities to fulfill your dream, to complete college, that's changing generations.
Welcome to Phalen Leadership Academies.
Because I've seen so much progress in all of my students, I do believe that PLA is something really phenomenal. PLA definitely has something exceptional going on here.
You will never feel nothing like it. They care so much.
Before I came here, I got to fights, got kicked out of schools. PLA has changed me into the man I'm supposed to be today.
They are so connected with the children and the advancement of the children that it is just phenomenal.
Our biggest change has also been really improving the academics and making sure scholars are performing on or above grade level, which we are starting to see the fruits of that. And we're at a place now where we can really challenge scholars academically. We've really been given the opportunity to do something great here.
A transformative leader in school turnaround, PLA has turned 5 F-rated schools into A-rated schools. With data-driven instruction, strengthening school climate and culture, character development, ongoing assessments and interventions, strong teacher and school supports, tiered scholar support, and a drive toward excellence. Join us.
Hey, it's Ashmack, and we are welcoming all questions, all discussions, what it looks like for this up and coming academic school year. And I had to reach out to a few experts that I know, of course, from PLA, Phalen Leadership Academy. I have Dr. Tora Townsend and Earl Martin Phalen. Thank you for joining us today, because there's so many questions, there's so many things to discuss, and truly making the transition of being in a physical school into virtual academic learning. So thank you both, and welcome you both back to discuss a little bit more with me.
Thank you.
Not a problem. See, I came ready. I have my laptop, got Apple on the table ready. You know, this was my time to shine back in the day, and I had to shout out my alma mater, Norfolk State University, too. It's only right.
That's awesome. I just want to underscore to our parents, if you're in a PLA physical school right now, called brick and mortar school, stay there because you can get a remote experience through your current school.
Mhm.
And if you're in Marion County or anywhere throughout the state and you're looking for a tuition-free virtual experience, you want to become part of the PLA family, you can, as part of the family, not only will you get a tuition-free, high-quality virtual education, you'll get access to the PLA schools once they reopen to play sports, to get involved in clubs like our Young Actors Theater and many of the other after-school clubs we have, like our 21st Century Scholars Program, which is a statewide program. We have 100% of our middle schools and high schools signed up for free college tuition through the 21st Century Program. So if any of those things are attractive to you, I would love to. And I coach the basketball team, and we're really good. So if any of those things are attractive to you, I would love to have you join our PLA family.
And our website is plavirtual.org. So if you're interested in signing up, and after you're hearing even more about our high quality campuses we're offering across the state, please know that plavirtual.org is the space to go.
Perfect. Now, since we're all making the transition to do everything virtually, what does that look like for not academics, for extracurricular activities when it comes to athletics, when it comes to sports? How are we doing this?
Well, we'll have to follow the ISHA guidelines as it relates to sports. I know my boys were having football training camps, and so they were able to socially distance, and they weren't passing or handing off the football to one another, and obviously they weren't blocking or tackling. So they were doing physical conditioning, and that was at least allowing them to have the camaraderie, even though it was at a distance and felt a little bit different than before. But Dr. Thompson can talk a little bit about the enrichment experiences that we're going to offer at PLA Virtual.
Perfect.
So understanding that our families may not be able to get out, we are offering some virtual field experiences. So connecting with and partnering with some of our community resources and saying, what are some things in which you could support us that we could still stay engaged, we can still have some field experiences, we're learning new things, we're having fun, but we're doing those things virtually. So we'll be committed to ensuring that our scholars are engaged on a regular basis with having opportunities to connect, not just with their peers, but within the community, and learning new opportunities and partnering with our community leaders to figure out, okay, what are we needing to do to ensure that we are continuing to offer opportunities and keeping our scholars engaged, not just with academics, but with those enrichment opportunities.
What I loved during our summer program was, for the enrichment part, we were able to keep art, we were able to keep music, we were able to keep physical education. And it was almost like the physical education looked like you were in a Peloton class, right? So you're doing it at home, but you're still doing it as part of a community, and you can see your peers. We had a great partnership where we brought in artists. And so one of the units was African drumming. So the artist said, hey, go to your kitchen, go get a bowl, go get 2 spoons, and come on back and let's play some African beats. So we'll continue to have, and then we had virtual field trips for our scholars, and we had a guest speaker list that was top of the top. Super Bowl winning Marlon Jackson, Super Bowl winning Ryan Munday, the first Black female on The Price is Right, female model on the Price is Right, Miss California, Emmy-winning newscaster, the first Black doctor in Haiti to separate conjoined twins, and I could go on and on. U.S. attorneys. It was just so great. And so you can still have that inspiration. You can still have that enrichment in a virtual environment. You just have to be creative with it. And we're going to bring that to life in PLA Virtual, as we did in our sister organization, Summer Advantage, this year.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds phenomenal. It's amazing. And I want to know, I'm intrigued to see, how are we making sure to include all of this virtually? And that's the question that I've gotten so many calls about, what does a virtual day actually look like? What can I expect? What can the students expect? So, maybe Dr. Townsend, can you give us a little bit more details of what this looks like?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in the state of Indiana, for our elementary, it's 5 hours that our students will be engaged. And so it will look very much like a traditional school day, but it will be at home. In terms of we're setting up, we're getting it ready. We have advisory where we're connecting. We're making sure we have what we need for the day. Someone's checking in to make sure not just that we're ready for academics, but how are we feeling? Someone is connecting with us, a teacher is connecting with our scholars. Our scholars are engaging in live sessions, so they'll go to their core classes, math, reading, social studies, science. They'll have time to work through art. They'll have a lunch break. They'll also will have clubs that will be set up as part of the enrichment component. So scholars will have an opportunity. Once that school day is complete, we're going to continue to learn, but it's going to be something that our scholars love and enjoy. And so they'll have the opportunity to do so. They'll also have some time to have some offline work. We know sometimes you just have to sit down and get your paper written, or you have to brainstorm, or you have to think it through.
Yep.
But the amazing part of that is that we are virtual. So even if I need a virtual thought partner as I'm brainstorming and trying to figure out, I can pick up a phone or I can send a message. I can contact my teacher and say, hey, I'm stuck. Can you please help me? And so they'll still have all of those same opportunities just in their homes.
Now, Dr. Townsend, what could you suggest to parents that, are trying to set boundaries in the sense of you need to be in this room to go to sleep? You need to be in this room to do homework. You know what I mean? How are we making sure to set up or have that school feeling, even though we're educating and learning from home?
That is great. One of the components that we will have as part of our PLA Parent University that will offer some support and guidance for our families, not just on day one, but throughout the entire time of the school year, is that one of those pieces is about how do we set boundaries? When should I start preparing my scholar to get back on schedule? As we know, they've been off schedule, trying to figure things out. When is bedtime? When is meal time? I never thought my child could eat so much, so many times throughout the day. And so really, we have some strategies in place. And one of those pieces we will continue to support our families in is making sure that there are clear boundaries. So the bedroom is the bedroom. We want to make sure you can come and work at the kitchen table, or there's a space in the living room, but there's a designated space where scholars know this is the place where learning occurs. This is where it's time to get focused and to be ready and engaged to do what I need to do. And understanding that, yes, house is still there, but this is my learning space. And so really working with families to figure out what is going to be the best space to make that in-house classroom to simulate more so of their environment that they're used to ensure they have continued success.
And we refer to our parents as learning coaches. And so for the youngest scholars, K1 and 2, the learning coaches has to do a little bit more. And it's a parent or adult or older sibling. Sometimes you might have to help the kindergartner log in to make sure they get in safely into a learning management platform. The good news about having live instructors and really having very small ratios, adult to scholar ratios at our school, is the fact that the parent doesn't have to stick around for the whole lesson. They can just help make sure the logistics, are you doing okay, and checking in. And candidly, some of our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders need a little check-in as well. So just having that learning coach right by our scholars is a light lift for our families, but there is some responsibility, obviously, if you're doing the fully virtual piece.
Now, this is a question that one of my listeners had. What does a virtual learning look like when you have your kids that are in 11th grade, 12th grade that are thinking about leaving the state, or maybe not even leaving the state when it comes to furthering their education? Is there any type of mentorship or guidance that is helped during that school year to help with the process of financial aid and doing applications for college, or trade school? What does that look like during this time?
So we know that many schools are even having adjustments in terms of ACT requirements, SAT requirements. And so we would definitely make sure our scholars in our high school, we know that there has to be someone who is supporting around. We have someone to support around financial aid. How do I apply for scholarships? How am I best preparing? How am I writing essays to get into certain colleges or to apply for certain scholarships? And so really understanding the base of that. I also have a very strong background in high school as well. So understanding specifically what courses and classes that our scholars will need to ensure they are on track for graduation, and figuring out if in any ways in which we can support to continue to keep them on track towards an on-time graduation.
Perfect. And that's what I love to hear, especially with PLA, because you guys offer always a sense of community, and it's just really, it takes a village, and you guys are part of that village. So I want you guys to, put the shameless plug about the track record of PLA. What continuously makes you all stand out from the rest of the institutions within the Midwest?
Well, I mean, I think we've been very blessed, as I said, to be able to get 6 schools from F-rated to A-rated. And it's not just the A rating, it's really changing the culture. Some of the schools, when we went into them, School 103, as an example, just wasn't a good learning place for children. It wasn't clean. It wasn't well kept. There was no rigor. There was no love. There was no joy. And so we've seen that across all of our campuses that, PLA is a family, and the scholars love to be at school. I mean, when my administrators go up to our middle school, James and Rosemary Phalen Leadership Academies on 42nd and Midhofer. When my administrators go up there, kids are knocking at the door during the summertime because they want to be there. That is, school is home for them. So I think folks know that while we haven't been perfect, we love our scholars. We'll do anything for our scholars. We're so blessed when we reopen. As you said, kind of takes a village. We got a grant from Lilly Endowment, and so we just finished the renovations of an arts and cultural center that's at the back of our building on 42nd and Midhofer, and that's going to be open to the community. So we're going to have Saturday events that are open to the community, whether it's spoken word, whether it's a play that the scholars have put on, or a play that another professional artist wants to exhibit, a film. And we just want to have more and more positive things. We're right now raising money so we can build a small field, turf field, sort of like the great one that TAB has. It's about a 50-yard field, but it's the latest turf that you play soccer, touch football, and other things. Again, trying to bring more and more to the community. And next January, please God, we'll be launching what we call PLA University, which is going to be a workforce development program free to anybody who's related to a PLA scholar, so that parents can come get training in some high demand careers. The training course is 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on what track you want to go on. And you graduate and you're making $30,000 to $50,000 plus benefits. And so we're opening PLA University next January. And just what you said, we're trying to bring all we can, because our families are so talented, so hardworking, have such a deep love for their scholars, that anything we can do to help our families and our scholars succeed, PLA is going to do it.
That's amazing. Come on now. Come on, scholars. I do want to encourage anyone that is listening and watching to continue to leave questions in the comments. I see a few. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but continue to ask, continue to type away. We're going to answer as much as we possibly can. And since we're talking about extracurricular activities, like band was my extracurricular activity. I went to school on a marching band scholarship, and awesome. I played softball in high school. So, what are we and how are we making that transition to the sports that you're able to offer when it comes to play PLA?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about our athletics program, Coach Fama is our athletic director, and he's just put together with all the coaches, Damian Givens and Joe Jefferson, and our coaches have just put together a really powerful program for our scholars. So last year, we were blessed, and again, we're going to have to follow ISHA guidelines. We have to do what we have to do. But once we're able to do it, last year we had football for our middle schoolers, we had football for our high schoolers, we had a dance team, we had cheerleading, we had girls and boys basketball, middle school and high school and elementary school for our scholars. We had touch football for some of our younger scholars. It was so incredible, because you'd be after school, and those were for those who like that. For those who liked art, we had an art club that went on. We had Young Actors Theater, so scholars get to create their own plays and figure out what the cast will do. And while they made the decisions, it's a great creative expression for our scholars. And so when you were in our building, our middle school building had 640 scholars last year. There'd be about 380 kids after school doing some type of activity after school. And so we're really trying to brainstorm right now, how do we keep that connectivity and that level of experience alive for our scholars. But my team, I'm a regional director, Nicole Farmers. She's a rock star. She's one of the best educators in the country. And so she'll figure out, and we'll figure out how we take what we did in person and bring that to a virtual.
Perfect. Okay. So there's a few more questions that's happening right now. I see someone said, how do kids participate in sports and extracurriculars? But you just mentioned that. So, I mean, continue to ask any questions that you have. We will take some more questions as we go. And transitioning, what is the partnership that you all have with the community? You know, what are we setting our scholars up for, and how are we doing so by being a part of a firm pillar in our communities here in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Towns can speak to what the culture will bring at PLA Virtual. You know, we've always felt like this is a community effort, that we are partners to parents in helping them achieve their dreams for their children, who we call scholars, and that we bring any resource we can to help set our children up for success. And so that's sort of been the pillar of kind of our belief system. It's funny with our football team, when we go to away games, we bring more fans than the home teams do, because there's such a community feel. And sometimes if it's a far away game, we'll rent a couple buses to make sure everybody can go. When I mentioned the community center, again, we weren't able to open it when we wanted to because COVID hit, but that will be an opportunity for anybody. If you're an artist and you want to share your artists with the community, or you're a senior or you're young on the Far East Side, you want to come out on a Saturday afternoon, we're going to have activities in this beautifully new renovated cultural and arts center. And I think our theory is, let's just continue to bring the best to our scholars and families, because they deserve the best. And you know, very proud of my soccer team. First year came in second in the city, and my football team came in first in the city. And so and my basketball team, we were younger, so we were only JV, so we haven't been able to compete, but we've gone to the Final Four a couple of years in a row, and I expect we're going to bring home a state championship sometime real soon. So
yeah, we're speaking of consistent. You got it.
That's what we try to do. We try to just make sure we're the best at everything that we do.
Yes, and I think that one of the great components with PLA Virtual is that everything that Earl just mentioned are opportunities that are still yet available for our virtual scholars. We are still just an extension of the PLA family. We are all in this together. We are a community together. And so that is going to be important, that we will continue to stress that throughout for PLA Virtual, that our scholars right now, we have some limitations. We don't see limits, opportunities. So we have some limits right now just in terms of what we're able to do because of the pandemic, but there are still yet opportunities that we will continue to connect and develop and create that community feel. And although we will be fully virtual, there will still be opportunities for face-to-face connection should parents or parents choose to do so. Opportunities for parents to connect, for scholars to connect. And although right now we don't have many options, but once that the options are available, we will definitely make sure that our families have opportunities for those face-to-face interactions should they desire to have them, and we will encourage them to do so.
And we're still trying to figure this out, Ashmack, but one of the blessings I had mentioned before is the 21st Century Scholars Program. So that's available to anybody kind of 7th and 8th grade to sign up for, and then stay engaged every year in a set of kind of commitment activities that allow you to get a free college tuition anywhere in the state of Indiana. And we've been blessed last year to go on a lot of our scholars went on anywhere from 3 to 4 college campus visits. So they really start to get the feel as middle school and as high schoolers. You know, I remember Darrence, coming back and saying, he didn't want to go to Ball State. It wasn't the right feel for him. It wasn't right, and so he's really comparing, but he really liked IU, especially, they went up on a game homecoming, and so everybody was walking around with red cups, and thought they seemed very happy. And so I said, well, no red cups for you, but they probably weren't very happy. So, but he was like, I really like that environment. And then other scholars are coming back and saying, no, this one, much smaller environment, is better for me because I was trying to feel like the family I had here. And so it's really good to have those experiences. And now what we have to do is go on college virtual trips for right now, but there will be a time real soon that we'll be able to go back and do some of the things we were able to do normally before.
Right. Phenomenal. Before we wrap up, I want you both to let us know why choose PLA, and then we're going to ask a few questions that some of our listeners do have on Facebook.
Sure. Dr. Townsend?
All right. So PLA Virtual is like none other in terms of your scholars will be engaged with highly qualified state certified teachers for live sessions on a daily basis. They'll still have the opportunity for enrichment opportunities with the network, our network of schools throughout the PLA family. They also will have connections to high quality, rigorous curriculum that will continue to challenge and engage our scholars. And we will continue to support closing the achievement gap in the state of Indiana, which is one of the major things that Phalen Leadership Academies has been known for and will continue to thrive in. We also will have those connections, unlike any other virtual school, where you'll be able to connect to those PLA families, which is a very unique opportunity to still participate in sports, to still participate in extracurricular activities that normally are not available to a virtual family. And so you will just continue to be a part of, and you will join an amazing family. And those who are currently enrolled with Phalen Leadership Academies will also still have this opportunity if they are choosing to stay virtual. So our families who are currently enrolled, we will continue to say stay at your campus. But if you are a family in the state of Indiana that is looking for an amazing option for your scholars, that you want to continue to stay connected to the community, ensure that your scholar has access to amazing curriculum and amazing teachers, PLA Virtual is for you. PLAvirtual.org for enrollment.
And I just say it's we have a lot of fun. It's free, and so it's a tuition free wherever campus you go to, and it's family oriented. And Eric said it in the video. He said you'll never feel this much love in a school. And I think our scholars and our parents feel how much we want their child to succeed. So we have fun. It's academically rigorous. Our scholars are successful and are going to be successful in the future. And we really care about the whole child, both the academic part, but those who love arts, those who love culture, those who love athletics. There's a chance to express yourself in all those domains as well.
Perfect. Okay, let's take a few questions. Nikki asked, will the school incorporate culturally relevant curriculum, especially considering what is happening in our country right now?
Absolutely. So one of the pieces, as our teachers are coming back, we have some professional development that is specifically aligned to culturally responsive teaching. And that is understanding where all of our scholars are coming from and the experiences in which they have encountered, and making sure that we are very relevant in terms of how we are teaching and leading within our classrooms and in our school.
And we've always done stuff, Ashmack, as it relates to teaching kind of our culture and our rich history and our successful history. We're actually right now in the process of partnering with a group called Facing History, Facing Ourselves, and they're curating a 6 through 12 Eyes on the Prize curriculums. I don't know if you remember the series Eyes on the Prize, but that was real popular when I was a young adult, and just does an incredible job kind of teaching us the struggle and the progress and the sacrifice that so many of us have made. And so starting in January, that will be part of our core curriculums, the Eyes on the Prize, Facing History's curriculum.
Okay, you got another question. Is this like homeschooling? I mean, it is a form of homeschooling, but what makes this truly different than, having a physical tutor inside of your home with your child?
So this is not like homeschool in the sense of with a homeschool environment, the parent is the teacher. And so in PLA Virtual, the learning coach, who is the designated person at home working with the scholar, is essentially the point person to ensure the scholar is on track, making sure they are doing what they need to do. Are you logging in? But in terms of academics, that is the sole responsibility of the teacher. The state certified teacher who is going to be delivering live instruction, and teacher and parents and learning coaches would not have the responsibility of serving as a teacher. They are serving as a parent or a learning coach to help guide their scholar.
I think that goes into this next question that we had. It said, what role do parents play in this program in school? So I think that attacks the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Will virtual field trips be offered for scholars?
Absolutely, yes. So there'll be the opportunities when the time comes for virtual field trips, for virtual college visits, anything that we can ensure that our scholars are getting exposure. There are museum curators who can offer virtual museum trips. So there's definitely opportunities there.
And this summer was great. I mean, I went on a couple of trips walked the Great Wall of China, which I had never done before, but did that virtually, and then went to Africa to learn about the migration patterns of the silverback gorilla. And so just incredible learning experiences that candidly I would not have done either one of those, and there were many others, but children get a chance to really experience and learn from those things. And again, we love to be able to get out and do and touch and feel and go to the Children's Museum and go to Conner Prairie and all those other spots. And there's a real opportunity to learn about the world when you have a chance to go through good virtual field trips. And this summer was a great example of what we'll bring to PLA Virtual.
And I think that concludes everything with our questions with this last one. Where do families go to fill out an application for enrollment? And of course, when does the school year start?
All right, so online at plavirtual.org, so plavirtual.org is where it can be found. School begins on Tuesday, August 11th, 2020.
Okay, and can both of you or Dr. Townsend, just to let our listeners and viewers know that if your child is not currently enrolled, you are currently accepting applications, correct?
Yes, enrollment is open. We are currently accepting applications for scholars in grades K through 12 throughout the state of Indiana.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. I know both of you. So busy, so thank you for making time to answer so many questions that our listeners have had for a week or so now. And of course, if there's any other information, how can you be reached or get more info about Phalen?
Yep. If they go to Dr. Townsend, if they go to plavirtual.org, they can send in any questions that they have, and we'll get it to the right person. If it's an enrollment question, if it's a technology question, or if it's, hey, what else do I need to know question, we can help them with any one of those questions. And we also have a help desk that you'll see there. So if somebody doesn't want to do it kind of all online, they can pick up the phone, and we have a 12-hour-a-day help desk. And somebody can help you there as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. And I think it's only right we end this with the PL. Hey.
Yeah, that wasn't on.
Thank you again. It's Hot 963.
Thank you so much. Take care.
I'm here. I am leaving the outside. I am in a zone. I believe in myself, especially today. I love who I am. I am smart. I'm important. I'm unique. I am strong. I am a scholar.
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 George and Veronica Phalen Leadership Academy, PLA. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. PLA, 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 PLA. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. Fly a drone, read a book, dance in the hallways. Listen to your teachers and earn all A's. Teachers dance like me, knowledge excites me. I dream about it nightly, respectful and polite. Had to learn knowledge quick, so you gotta watch me whip. On pace to earn an academic scholarship. Fly the drone, that's how we roll. Speak about our dreams and go embrace it. Achieve greatness like the Indiana Pacers. Pursue goals like the Indians and Colts. Classroom or hallways, got a jam thing, rocking out with the tambourine. Art class PLA, baby Lily Jackie Robinson, first grade. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. PLA, 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 PLA. Phalen Leadership Academy. Talking Pride is a masterpiece. George and Veronica Phalen Leadership Academy with Scholar Sword. Go Falcons, baby.